Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Duality Bites in-person Chicago edition. Ladies Auxiliary.
Turn Up Girls.
Turn Up Girls. Which maybe by the time this airs, you'll know why our group chat is called Turn Up Girls. Carmela and I have traveled to the Windy City and are here with Katie.
Where I live here.
Yes, so in this studio.
Basically.
You sleep under the table. Yeah, that's great.
Yes, and this is, am I correct, where you record Dark Nexus?
This is the Dark Nexus studio, Chicago, Illinois. I won't give the address because someone lives here, but this is our studio, yeah.
And I believe we've mentioned that Katie has been a player performer on the Dark Nexus podcast for
3 years. Not all of it recorded in this studio.
Since time
But
immemorial.
most of it, yeah, feels like my entire life. Check out that podcast if you have a chance. It's a little different vibe than our show. It's a little darker.
It's a little eldritch.
It's a little Cthulhuian.
Clearly, I need to go harder.
It would be so hard to scare me. I'm just saying.
No,
The things
Pathfinder.
I've seen.
Pathfinder is designed to crush you.
Right. Yeah. I don't think that AP is possible in Daggerheart because it's just not mean enough. Yeah. There's just not enough numbers. There's not enough.
Your
rules.
fatigue 4.
Yeah. If only. We don't even get levels of fatigue in first edition. We just get, you're fatigued. Now you're exhausted. You can't even move.
Some of us are meeting in person for the first time.
Yes.
And the rest of us are meeting in person for the second time.
Yeah, Liz and I have known each other since right before the pandemic, and we only met for the first time in person last year when we were all in Denver.
After we had agreed.
We had agreed to do this show together.
That's wild. I love it.
And the rest of us, it's our first time meeting in person.
Yes.
My first time meeting both of you.
Yeah.
So we're going to be a little
punchy.
punchy.
Right?
We're a little punchy today,
okay.
We're going to be happy today. Sorry, guys.
We also went out to dinner last night and ate so much food. So I don't know what you guys, I'm full and my voice is shredded.
The food kept coming out, and I'm like, when does it stop? It's like, here's the duck, here's some rice, here's the noodles, here's this giant bowl of soup.
I said out loud, it's a Borean feast.
I know. The fact that David wasn't there made me cry when you said that. I was just like, oh.
I was telling Liz on the way over, I'm like, I wish David and Jabin were able to come.
Too. It's so amazing. Can you imagine the 5 of us around the same? Liz would be over there. That'd be amazing.
We'd have to move in. We'd never want to leave.
I know. Dark Nexus would be like, we need the studio, guys.
Like, no, it's ours now.
We need a slumber party weekend.
Yeah.
It's a retreat.
An artist retreat.
Company retreat.
Yes.
We should just show up at J. Ben's house.
Yeah, because Massachusetts is a place to be in the fall, right? We should definitely go there.
Oh, yeah. The weather would be a hell of a lot better than it is in Florida. Don't come to Florida.
Does he have a house that could hold us all? Why are we not just doing this?
He has a house. I assume all houses can hold us all.
Right.
I love that we have
lived in
invited
a house
ourselves
for 30
into
years.
Jay Ben's house.
I know. He'll hear this.
You
and
have
be
his
like,
address?
I did.
All right.
I
Google that.
I already have his address.
Yeah.
Unless
I
you
also
can-
have David's address. We could all go to Brooklyn.
His apartment is large.
It
Yeah.
looks large on the Zoom.
Yeah. You know, it's large for a Brooklyn apartment.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
spacious.
For Brooklyn, it's big.
terrible for recording because it's got hardwood.
We might have to cut this. Is
Yeah,
this
we're
too much
gonna-
personal?
And now we'll start the podcast.
Yeah.
Bring. Duality Bites.
Duality Bites.
So, we do have a topic for today.
Yes.
Which is very Daggerheart-y. Probably the most Daggerheart-y. We're talking about collaboratively building a world and a narrative
Yes.
as we go. And we're going to start, not at the beginning, but before the beginning.
In the beginning.
In the beginning, we're going to start with Prologue dice.
Hey.
Yay.
So if you have listened to our first episode, which you should.
If you haven't, why are you listening to this episode?
We hope that these are good examples of things you can do with the system to make your world your own, and and GMs especially to incorporate your players, because the rule book has good base level examples of inviting your players to help describe things. And one of the things that we really tried to do with Queen of Daggers Heart of Fire is to push that.
Yeah.
And it's hard sometimes, it's scary sometimes. And that's why we're going to talk about it. One of the scariest decisions I made going into the first episode was that I was going to mess with the central mechanic of Daggerheart.
Yes.
And not tell my players. And just so everyone listening knows, I generally don't believe that it's in withholding information for its own sake. I think that's a careful choice you have to make. I'm not an immersion GM in that way, but this was the kind of choice that you only get one shot at.
Right.
I should just say what it is, because now I'm making it sound.
You're making it sound really dark and mysterious.
Because of the themes of the campaign, and which is that in the world the characters are used to, the god queens who rule their realm represent hope, and fear has been exiled. They're kind of living in a world without fear. And at the end of the first episode, they accidentally free.
We opened up Pandora's box.
Yeah, they open up Pandora's box and release a queen of fear.
I'm not pointing any fingers, but to my left.
And thank God Evelyn did that, or there would be no campaign. That was the other. That was actually the scariest thing.
Zero chance I wouldn't do that.
That was the actual scariest thing. Was I set up a thing that absolutely had to happen, a riddle that they absolutely had to solve, trap they had to fall into, or there would be no campaign. But I digress. Let me say this a little bit shorter. We can edit out some of my lead up. But they started in a world with only hope, and then at the end of the first episode, they released fear. And so I really felt I have to start them off with only one D12, with only one of their duality dice. And then they get their fear die once they release fear into the world. And I did not prepare them for this. We'd all studied the rules together. And then in the first episode, whenever a roll came up that should have been 2d12, I told them to roll just 1d12. And I didn't tell them why. And how did that make you feel?
Insane. To be honest, it was such a risk. It's a beautiful risk, and it reminds me of the old days when they would have like 0 level characters in D&D and Pathfinder and stuff like that, when you just had like no skills. You were playing like an adept or an expert or something, and there was just nothing. You just didn't have the full weight of your class behind you before you gained your first level. So I really, really loved it, but I was paranoid about like, have I misunderstood the rules? Are there circumstances where you only roll one of these dice? So
in which you actually are Evelyn.
Yeah. Yes, I'm playing the right character in this campaign. But like, I did feel like it was so great to play upon the one session where we were not going to be confident in the rules. We were still a little shaky. We hadn't really played it out on air. So it was a really great choice, but it did make me feel a little off balance until I understood, oh, this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
And I knew that I was setting the difficulties appropriately because that made sense for the world that your characters were being trained for.
Right.
Yeah.
Where there were moderate threats that normal humans wouldn't be able. It was sort of like a world in which most people can't step on a mouse, and you're the people who are trained to, oh, sorry, I love mice. You get the idea.
Cruel example.
Asteria, no mouse hater.
I love mice. I don't want them to eat the wires in my oven, but I love them.
It's got to be another way.
And
and that's that on that.
And it happened 2 or 3 times. And you, Katie, dubbed them Prologue dice.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what was
What it
happening. You figured out that you would eventually.
I solved your dice riddle.
Yes. Oh.
But you also set a tone where you broke the rules right out of the gate. You
Yeah.
know, like in a really fun and informative way that set us a little off balance and made us kind of band together. Like, what is happening?
We're all at half power. What's
Yeah.
happening?
Yeah. So I thought it was a really. You took advantage of a one-time opportunity to do something that we wouldn't be able to do again.
Yeah, and I didn't do it lightly. Like I thought a lot about.
It was a really good way to illustrate that shift in the world. Because you're right. You know, we were living in a world of half power, essentially, half our duality. And then, so it makes sense to cut our quote unquote power in half. And then everyone but me got to pick up that other D12 by the end.
That's so bad, but it's because your character is like such a good person. And the rest of us are like, oh, let's indulge all our darkest fantasies.
Yeah.
Well, and you got an extra experience out of it.
I did. No, I just got I didn't get an extra one, but
I was thinking about this. We should give. I think I didn't reward
You and I-
enough.
you and I talked about because of
Why?
what happens at the end of the and you can cut this at the end of episode 13 that you would give me an extra experience.
Okay, we did talk about this,
because of what happened at the end of that.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
We'll cut this. We were still learning the rules and scrabbling. So
And then all the rules changed.
Yeah.
And then all the so we're going to roll into season 2 with the actual rules. It's going to be weird.
yeah, but I do think there should be an eventual boon. For,
Yeah.
I think so too.
Resisting
Yeah.
twice.
The rest of us are so weak. We're so pathetic. We're just teenagers.
I just bodily pick up both Evelyn and Lemma at the same time and run.
Amazing.
With Orlean just running
We're
behind
the
me.
best party. Can I just interject to say that our party is amazing?
Yeah.
The four things that we all represent
Yeah.
separately and bring to the table, and how the multiple permutations of how they interact with each other is just really ecstatic. I love it.
Well, another wonderful thing that just worked out is that, I don't know to what extent you all figured out beforehand that there would be, mild spoiler alert, 4 queens rather than 2, and that there would be 2 dualities.
I have to tell you, and I think this is the place for it, I didn't figure out that there would be a 4th queen for multiple episodes after that happened. Like, I did not play it out. I did not play the tape forward. I was just like, oh, there's this 3rd queen. That's amazing. And then somebody said, what if there's a 4th queen? And I was like, what? Like, mind
Well, because I
blown.
remember you describing the arch, and you're like, there's this name that's completely crossed out, and then there's this, glory
all the
comes
clues
up.
were there. I just didn't get them.
And I was telling Asteria when I was re-editing the first episode, 'cause the first episode went through a couple edits.
Can't imagine why.
And there was, the whole scene in the library, which goes back to the collaborative storytelling part, listening to you describe the art book.
Mm-hmm.
And I was listening through it, and I was like, that's exactly the end of the episode. So I'm like messaging Asteria going, you're brilliant. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you doubting yourself?
Well, and we'll come to the art book in a moment, but each of your characters being sort of chosen by one of the queens worked out. It wasn't prearranged, and in one of our session zeros, when David was first describing Orlean, he said something about Orlean, and I said, I know an NPC who's gonna like you. And then we had to tell David what NPC meant.
Yeah.
Because, as we haven't really discussed yet, this is his first ever experience with a tabletop role-playing game. But
And
the
he's
NPC
brilliant
I meant
at it.
was the NPC
Absolutely brilliant.
Yes. But the NPC I meant was Glory, Queen of Bones.
Right.
And that was when I was like, oh, can I match each of them up to one of the queens? And the answer was yes. and I like that they all work but aren't necessarily
Like
on the obvious
Yeah.
and on the nose. Maybe Ginny is a little.
Well,
Ginny's on the nose. And I think a lot of that comes from me trying to figure out, and actually I talk about this with J-Ben a little bit when we talked about communities. Because I was
I know what
trying
you're gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, because I was trying to figure out what the pantheon was like in this world, because I was playing a seraph. And I was like, all right, so I need to know what the religions are around here. And you described the two queens to me. I'm like, oh, well, Harrows would make the most sense for what I'm thinking about. So it just made sense that, Harrows chose me in the campaign or whatever.
Well, and I like that it's not a switcheroo for you.
Yeah,
that
where
it's
like
not
all of a sudden, like Glory chose me for
Yeah.
some reason. I'm like, why?
and
I am not nearly as chaotic as Aurelion is.
and there's a scene in season 1 that, I mean, I think represents. I don't know how you feel about it. That Ginny is affiliated with the Queen of Harrows, and that can be complicated, but it's not. But it's truthful.
Yeah.
And just because, and you and J-Ben had a lovely conversation about the Orderborn community and how backstories like that in these games, typically we choose them so that the character can realize it's a little too much order and they need to find their own path. And that is very true for Ginny.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that we've been exploring that doesn't always mean rejecting everything about yourself. It means figuring it out.
yeah, examining
Yeah.
all those things that you've taken for granted for so long.
Yeah.
And that's a very coming of age
Yeah.
thing to do. Which is,
For sure. Which was the whole point.
Yeah.
That's the whole theme is our coming of age kind of deal. We're all late teenagers, early adults.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out who the hell we are. Yeah.
And I think it's a really appropriate use of the Seraph class in Daggerheart.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I really like about Daggerheart is that it is an agnostic system.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally hope it doesn't matter, but I kind of hope they don't add a more explicitly clerically
right.
class.
Yeah.
I really like that classes, you can make a bunch of classes a cleric or a priest, but
I could be a priest.
Yeah,
none of them require
yeah.
a god.
Yeah.
In Dungeons and Dragons, and still in D&D you can reflavor any class how you want.
Yeah.
But canonically in Dungeons and Dragons, a cleric gets their spells directly from a god. They
Right.
pray to their
Paladin,
god
too.
and they get the
Yeah.
spells, and the paladin too. And a seraph is the closest there is to a religious figure, but that's really, we can just kind of tell that based on the name and the vibe, but there's no reference to a god or a religion.
really like
When you
that.
do your background questions, they how do you communicate with your god?
Oh, right.
And so there is that, but of course,
But there's no mechanical effect to that.
yeah,
There's
there
all to help
it's
you
really
guide
it's
how you
really
build
just
your
to
character.
to build it, yeah. So, but there's no if I all of a sudden just decide I don't believe in the power of Harrows anymore, I won't lose my magic.
Yeah.
You don't have to atone for anything.
I don't have. I'm not an oath breaker.
Yeah.
Because I think I've probably played more into the paladin side
Yeah,
of what the
think so,
seraph
too.
is, than full priest.
Yeah.
But which was my original plan for Ginny. It just didn't work out that way. and I think she's better for
You got
it.
stuck with a bunch of squishy.
I'm like, I gotta protect these
Yeah,
losers.
Can't be out front.
I'm your shield, and your shield, and your shield.
I do have a shirt because I generally play clerics quite often, and it's clerics because someone has to keep you losers alive.
Let's talk about the art book.
Yes.
So in episode 1, in the scene where we meet Lemma and Evelyn in the library, the librarian Primer Cathania receives this art book and asks our heroes to take a look at it. And taking a cue from the heart of Daggerheart, I asked our players to each describe a piece of the art. I described one, and I asked them each to, and they did such a wonderful job, and their descriptions were so evocative that that art book became an extraordinarily important artifact. I had not had particular plans for that book when I said that.
I think that happens to every single DM.
Yeah.
Or GM. They're like, this is a inconsequential thing that I just pulled out of my ass, and then all of a sudden it's the most important thing in the world.
It's like a character or encounter defining moment.
Yeah.
So you and J-Ben each described an art piece of a different style, and you each described a figure without knowing that there were 2 exiled queens.
Yeah.
And I knew that coming at the end of the episode was the tomb or prison of an exiled queen. And so I did what I could to jot down as much of the 2 descriptions as possible. And so, yes, when you got there, I tried to make that tomb reminiscent of your description.
Yeah.
Actually, one of the most significant things was that you said that when Evelyn saw hers, she gasped with a recognition she didn't understand. And that is just the most glorious offer, I think, to a GM. It's like,
Glorious.
but it was like, great. So not only is this a wonderful visual, but also now I get to play with, at some point, why Evelyn felt she recognized this, which it came much, much later in the season.
Yeah.
And so there's been as much of that as possible is developing based on all of you. And as both of you know, I spent 20 years in theater as primarily a director, also a writer and producer. But as a director, I was always the style of director who wanted to see what my actors did first. I was more or less silent the first rehearsal of any given scene because I knew how I know how I see it in my head, and I wanted to see what my actors thought before I ruined their
Before I ruined it
like
for
if
them.
I say something, they're gonna do what I say.
Yeah.
And I'll never know.
You want to
what
see where they're coming from.
And like run the scene. All right, run it, but this way. Okay, run it. And then I'll start talking about it.
Yeah. Because
And-
maybe somewhere in between what you saw when you first read it and what they saw when they first read it is the truth. Is
Yeah.
the real thing.
Yeah.
Because it's a collaborative art
Medium.
form.
Yeah.
And I was a psych major, and my brilliant social psych professor made it very clear that groups make better decisions than the individuals would alone. And that's why Brennan Lee Mulligan could not get his players to turn on each other.
Right.
Because
That's right.
D&D is like, it's just
No matter how hard he tries.
because that's not that's not smart. That's not a good strategy
Yeah.
in D&D.
Yeah.
you work together to succeed.
Yeah. It's built into the mechanics
Yeah,
of
it's
the
built in
game.
the mechanics of the game.
Doesn't matter that we're all villains.
Also, the other reason in that particular campaign, also they were all comedians, and they knew it would be funnier.
It would be
for
funnier.
people to hug it out.
I love that campaign.
It's really good.
It is good.
And I'm not even a big Lord of the Rings person, but
Oh.
they're also
I'm a
great.
big Lord of the Rings person, but Matt Mercer in that one just
Oh my God.
sealed it for me.
Well,
his
and that's-
choices.
I am a
What
big
hap-
Lord
what
of the Rings
happens
person.
to that
I mean, that-
character is like, what?
That's so brilliant. Like some bad dice rolls.
Yeah, just define
his character,
It's
and it's
amazing.
so wonderful.
Yeah.
He's so willing to go down that
Yeah.
road.
And yeah, I don't know if there's. What was your experience of the art book?
The art book was great. I love those questions. What do you see in the book? What do you see when you open that door? I love those open-ended things. They come with a great fear for me of not remembering what I said.
Yes.
And like I'm not going to listen to this. I'm not going to listen to it for a while, if at all, later. So the only hesitation I have with those things is like, say something you can remember. Say something that is powerful to you. Don't say too much. Don't throw in so many details that you can't recall them later. And
well, you can always ask me, and I can send you.
I know, but it's just like I don't want to miss the things that you then call back to. I love that part. Callbacks to me are like the height of art.
Yes.
Because I'm 12 years old. But like that part is really scary to me. But also I love any opportunity. I'm a player who is very afraid of any character that I play dying. I'm so afraid of it. I don't want it to ever happen. I fall in love with the characters that I play almost instantly, and then it's like they must be protected at all costs. And yet, when you ask things like that, my instinct now, after 30 years of playing games, is to hand you as many knives as I have in my imagination at the moment, to give you as many opportunities to hurt me later, that I can come up with. So the gasp to me is like, that was me saying, this is something that's haunting Evelyn, and she doesn't know what it is, and have fun with that. I'm glad that at some point in my role-playing career, I embraced getting hurt.
Yeah.
In spite of my fear of dying, like that being able to separate those two things has helped me.
And I'm very on the record as like, I think that is totally fair and correct to want to keep your character alive. Like I am very role play dramaturgical, and I think when you're working on your character sheet, it is totally valid to want, especially let's take 5e, which is very much based on like prioritizing and on the character sheet and numbers. It's not like metagaming or not role playing to want to make the rational decisions that will keep you and your party alive.
I don't do that, but yeah.
But then you want to play the game. You want to have an adventure.
Yeah.
And so
Which is inherently putting them at risk.
Yeah. And you want the GM to throw knives at you.
Yeah.
And that, my friends, is why I fell in love with the Daggerheart system the first time I looked through the playtest materials, because that's what hope and fear are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is that is what is required for an adventure. And to have a GM who understands they need to give you both.
Yeah.
A GM who is, as I like to say, your biggest fan and your greatest foe.
Yeah. Yeah.
That this is not going to be fun if I'm not scaring you sometimes, if
Yeah.
you don't believe I might go there.
I may not get directly in the way with my shield in time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or I may not be where you think I should be.
Yeah.
At any given time. I might have to put myself at a greater risk in order to accomplish a different goal
Yeah.
that puts me out of your protection.
Yeah.
And rocks aren't going to fall and kill you, and Glory, the Queen of Bones, isn't going to randomly show up and step on you.
Right.
But there are serious challenges.
Yes. Also, you took me away from the whole party for a night.
You did.
It scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, I didn't know I was going to do that.
But you picked the thing that frightened all of us, which was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't know. No, I won't spoil.
Yeah. We should probably cut this.
Yeah.
This is much later in the season stuff.
Thank you for listening to Duality Bites, a production of Hag Deal Gaming. If you like what we're doing here, come say hi on Blue Sky or TikTok at Hag Deal Gaming. Leave us a review. We'd love to know what you think. And remember, as a wise person once said,
Doesn't matter that we're all villains.